and a warm welcome to the latest in our series of programs produced with XpertRule software on the way manufacturers can and perhaps should respond to the challenge of net zero. In this program, we're going to be learning from the experience of Booth Welsh, a global engineering business based in Ayrshire, which has driven sustainability deep into everything they do in their business and into the work they do for clients around the world. They've even brought it all together into a philosophy they call Environment 4.0. A warm welcome to Amy Doole and Gordon Semple from Booth Welsh, and of course to Ian Crossley from XpertRule Software. Ian, perhaps I can start with you. Tell us how XpertRule works with Booth Welsh and why the relationship is so important to you.
Thank you, Nick. So yes, we've worked with Booth Welsh for a number of years, and to enable us to deliver our technology, we need to find partners who are technologically savvy and who also got very deep domain expertise in specific areas. And Booth Welsh was a company that fitted this very well. And the other point is they also have ambition themselves to grow their business in other areas outside of their traditional markets. So this sort of joint vision and this sort of joint growth really levers the capabilities of both companies and complements each other. And working in these areas, really, the best results are achieved by collaborations.
Welcome, Amy and Gordon from Booth Welsh. I'm terrific to have you with us. Tell us something from your point of view about the importance of working with XpertRule. Amy, perhaps you'd like to kick off.
And for us today, our mission is through collaboration, we want to engineer a better future. And for us, that's a really powerful statement that we really have at the centre of everything that we do, and partnerships are a key part of that. And for us, actually looking ahead to business of the future and really thinking about our impact, not just on how we operate as a business, but that wider impact, that whole people, planet and profit type theme that we're starting to see coming across businesses.
Gordon, you work very closely on delivering Booth Welsh services at a consultancy specialist level. Tell us what working with XpertRule means for you there at the coalface.
We need to collaborate with others and other specialty companies like XpertRule. And the testament to that, I guess, is the project that we're delivering with XpertRule at the moment at the AFRC, which I'm sure we'll touch on later. But as Amy said, collaboration is really the message we've been putting out there. And it's industry partners, it's academia, it's our own staff, our own people, and even our competitors these days. It's the only way to stay ahead of the game and keep fresh and keep your own business very competitive.
Amy, we're talking today in the context of the challenges of net zero to manufacturing. And I know that the engineering a better future that you've been talking about earlier is very much linked in with your own views as a company of how manufacturing and the people, how your company and the manufacturers you work with can help deliver net zero as effectively and as quickly as possible.
I think for us, it's really about trying to tell clients and let them know that digital technology can be a real enabler for being able to initially start that way of operating and really start to have that crucial to you at the centre of your strategy. I think, clients often are struggling to find the time and resource and budget, etc., to move forward. But I think, we're really starting to see some of the digital technology that we are now starting to look at really is able to become a key driver around that sustainability piece. So Environment 4.0 is our most recent offering. And for us, that's really an evolution of Industry 4.0 and really points at where we can actually start to really make those tangible planet positive type impacts across operations, as well as those business drivers and different efficiencies.
Is it important? Was it important for you that you created the Environment 4.0 label? Because we have discussed in other forums that there's always been a little bit of resistance to Industry 4.0, net zero. A lot of people don't get the higher concept. Environment 4.0 sounds as though it's really cutting to the chase, and it sounds like a great vehicle for getting your message across?
So I think we really have to think about ways that we can operate more effectively, more streamlined, looking at cutting out waste for your business, being more resource efficient. And for us, Environment 4 really tells that story. You don't have to have that trade-off now between people, planet and profit. You can put that digital technology in place and be able to achieve all those objectives at the same time.
Taking that approach of Environment 4 rather than Industry 4 makes the topic a lot easier for people to understand, and they can relate to it in a more, robust way.
We can now show them demonstrations of real live case studies, which shows how, as Amy touched on there, it's not just about becoming more productive and getting more in the bottom line. It's about what those benefits mean to the environment as well. It's a two-way, it's a win-win, and they really love the concept. The challenge is getting them to go to that next step and to put it in practice in their own business. And there's different ways and means to get around that, but that is still a challenge amongst SMEs at the moment.
Gordon, I know that during the pandemic, the fact that you had this array of digital tools at your fingertips, and Expert Factory key among them, enabled Booth Welsh actually almost to change your business model, because you found that you could save a huge amount of carbon emissions by dealing remotely and with your clients, where perhaps previously you might have visited them in person. But that was something of an eye-opener for you as a company, wasn't it?
But I think what it did instill, accelerated a lot of the remote technology. People that didn't have it realised they needed to get it, and it did mean that they didn't need to travel, because you couldn't have the right skill set where you wanted it at the right time, but you could do it remotely. And yeah, alongside XpertRule and some of the platforms that they have, and using them in conjunction with our developments was a real good mix, and it really accelerated that combined message. And we're now seeing the fruits of that with the project we're delivering together, plus the interest that we're getting from other sources.
And do you think the actual strategies you've had within your own company have helped you deliver these to your customers?
But I think you can't just concentrate on the technology. You've got to bring the people with you. So you've got to do a lot of work on the culture, which luckily we have done in the last 5 years. We've done a lot in parallel. In some ways, we actually addressed the culture before we were full on with the technology. Well, the technology is great, but it needs to have that change in culture behind it, and the people bought into using it.
My favourite phrase is culture eats strategy for breakfast. It's always a good one to remember.
So tell us a bit about further strategy at Booth Welsh, because this project you're working on at the National Manufacturing Institute Scotland and the AFRC is hugely important. It's a big step forward. Tell us the genesis of that project, if you would, and how you're doing it in partnership with XpertRule, Gordon.
Yeah, one thing led to another, and it's a sort of tripartite approach now, and it's a real good fit. And I think one that helped win is the bid. Yeah, we had an excellent technical proposal and a real rounded approach, but I think the fact that it was a collaborative bid went a long way to us winning that award. I will just add to that the university received an award within the sort of public procurement Scotland area that reflected on the bid process for demo, and it was the fact that it was collaborative, it was done in that manner, helped them win the award. So I think it's testament to where we are with that project and how we won it, but also how we're delivering it.
Amy, I'm struck by the fact that Booth Welsh is very far from shy about wearing its ideals and its mission very firmly on its sleeve. And how important is it for you to be able to demonstrate what you can do? You've got the University of Strathclyde project at Enmis going ahead, but I understand you've also got a demonstrator project at your own headquarters underway.
Yeah, so that's a really exciting collaborative project, which is going to be in partnership with Enmis, Strathclyde University, CPI, North Ayrshire Council, and essentially that becomes a sort of demo centre for what we're actually calling the Apple Store for Industry, if you like, which really allows that opportunity for people to have hands-on technology demonstrations, understand where that can fit into their operations. Because I think sometimes, again, going back to that piece about it being scary, it being big, where do you start? This is really this platform and this opportunity for that community and that platform that will really allow that and a kind of hands-on approach to things.
And what will the project actually do, Ian?
So I think one of the key things is how you connect with assets that are old, new. Some have got very advanced data systems on them, and some of them haven't, and have to have additional sensors put to them to make sense of them. So I think this project's shown that you can connect a whole range of assets to the central system, so you can get a digital factory effectively. But the challenge often is in that connectivity.
Gordon, how important is it that the tools that XpertRule bring to the party are very much OT led, that you don't have to have an array of data geeks, dare I say that, to help you manage it?
Yeah, very important these days. I think that's what the customer base is looking for, is a sort of low-code platform that is user-friendly, that they don't need to call on someone 24/7 when they need a change or even just to troubleshoot. It's a low-code, user-friendly platform that people can get to know how to use and navigate way about it. And I think that's the way forward. I think these platforms will only grow as the people get to know about how easy it is to implement. And of course, the cost-effective side of it needs to marry up too. But yeah, very, very important part of the whole process.
Ian, how important is it to XpertRule to be aligned with a company that has such advanced ambitions on such a key issue as net zero? But I mean, that obviously reflects right across the board of what they do as a global company. How important is it for XpertRule to be able to be seen as an accelerator within that process?
Well, again, net zero and decarbonisation is at the heart of what we do. And whether you come at it from an Industry 4 perspective or an Environment 4 perspective, a lot of the techniques you're doing are applying the same things. So you're really looking at how you can help companies get the best from the technology and how they do it. And for example, in Booth Welsh's case, if you look at the culture they've built within their company, it's right the way through, from their apprentices all the way up to their directors. So the whole story is very, very strong. And this is what we try to get across, is we're not in here just to sell a solution to somebody. We're actually trying to build partnerships with people so that they can improve their businesses and improve their image and their performance, and they will be here in years to come.
Gordon, if I can sort of pick up on that theme that Ian's just talked about, you work with some of the very largest companies in the world. Do you feel that, do you get the sense that they're on the same song sheet as you? Or are some companies, when it comes to net zero, I'm talking about, do you find that some are racing ahead at the same speed as yourself, and some are sort of frankly not getting with the program?
We do. I mean, we've got long-term relationships with some multinationals and pharma, fine chemicals, nuclear, food and bev. So we see it across different sectors, and I think it does in many ways depend what sector you're looking at, and I think this applies to where they are on their digital transformation journey as well. I think when it comes to the sustainability piece, again, I think it's a similar story. However, I think there's probably more of a consolidated approach, because everyone now sees with the global climate that they need to get on board with the sustainability piece, and it's not just the Scope 1 emissions, it's Scope 2 and Scope 3 as well. It affects the big picture. So I think you'll see the gap's not as big when it comes to how do they tackle sustainability as it may have been applying digital transformation techniques. But they're now seeing, and this is the message we're trying to get across, that it's not a trade-off, that you can actually do both, and one will help the other.
A key part for us has actually been involving our younger generation, who essentially are going to inherit, the planet in whatever way it's been left, So we've been partnering with Fuel Change. So Fuel Change are a fantastic social enterprise, and they basically look at empowering the younger generation to give them the skills and those opportunities to be able to understand what's coming next and actually build that sort of carbon confidence, if you like, within what they do.
It's a fantastic place to be. And I think because these people are real drivers of this, and they understand the tech way beyond what we do, and they can see the future of this tech, it's a massive, massive step forward. And I think these people will take this to the next level. And it goes beyond just what people do now. It's really thinking about what they're going to do in the future. So it goes beyond the manufacturing process. It goes into design. It goes into use. It goes into reuse of those devices. So the whole thing is taking a leap forward. And what we're dealing with now is what exists. What we're really looking to go to is what should be here. How should we take that forward? And how should we use things? So it's this whole culture. And for many, many years, we were just to build it, dispose of it. That was it. And now it's got to become this whole life cycle.
Well, that's an inspiring thought. Ian, thank you very much. Amy and Gordon, thank you so much for joining us from Booth Welsh today. Really enjoyed having you.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
No, thank you.
Our thanks too to Ian Crossley and XpertRule for their support in making this programme, and of course to you for watching. On behalf of Manufacturing TV, I'm Nick Peters. Goodbye for now.